Just roll the intro.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon, McBride. We've got a packed show for you today. Not going to be a lot of fun to talk about, but we got a packed show for you today. We're going to talk Top Dog of the Week in our last segment. So,
that might be fun.
Yeah, that one will be fun, actually, because there's a player that I have talked about a lot that had another incredible game. We'll also recap the defense and offense, but we got to start with the offense as we always do. And Landon, what was kind of your impression of the offensive performance?
Well, start with the positives. They looked pretty good for large chunks of that game. They played very well. The problem came in the fourth quarter when Levy insisted on not running any clock.
Yeah.
I mean, they were still running the hurry up 17 with like 11 minutes to go in the game. You're up 3 scores and you're just firing off plays in 10 seconds.
Right.
Like, that's when you need to start slowing the game down. And as a result, they weren't getting first downs then, and that led to the comeback.
Yeah, and it really started early in the second half. This is their kind of drive chart in the second half. 4-play punt, which was they got first down on the first down play, and then 3 and out. And then 5 plays downs. They turn over on downs around midfield, and Shapen gets sacked for a 10-yard loss, and Texas takes over in great field position. Now, the defense forced a 3 and out and a punt, which was great. You go down and score a touchdown on an 8-play drive. Great. Texas responds with the touchdown. Then I texted Landon. I said, hey, they got to start running some clock. And what do they do? 3 plays. But it was 75 yards and a touchdown because of the 62-yard pass to Booth. So it's like, okay, you can't fault that. Yeah, that's not. Then Texas goes right back down, scores a touchdown. And then it's 3 plays, -9 yards punt, 3 plays, 9 yards punt, 7 plays, 25 yards punt. And that was the one right before the end of the game. And, of course, the punt. Let's see, the punt. Yeah, then they had the punt return for a touchdown on that punt where they went 3 plays, 9 yards. And then in the overtime, it was 3 plays, 25-yard touchdowns for Texas, 4 plays, -41 yards in overtime for Mississippi State. Obviously, it's because of the fumble, but I mean, they just completely came apart. And like you mentioned, they looked really good for a good portion of that game. I mean, 38 points is the most Texas has allowed all season. That's a really good Texas defense. We talked about that. Shapen was pretty good for most of the game, struggled late, but 381 yards, 4 touchdowns, completed 26 of 42 passes. Like, I even tweeted, like, he answered the call, and then he obviously collapsed at the end. But it's not just him. It was the whole offense just collapsed.
Yeah, there was one thing, and I noticed he did this a few times in our other games, but it really became very obvious. He doesn't know how to handle a blitz. And I don't mean like he throws the ball into coverage during blitzes. His brain like short circuits or something, and he just turns his like back to the field and falls down. I don't understand what's going. It's on like every time there's immediate pressure. It's
like he can't read it pre-snap.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it's coming, basically. And then when it comes, he's shocked it comes, so he just goes down.
Yeah, it's insane. And, like, that's very much something you would expect from a freshman. Like, I'm not going to put the ball in harm's way. I'm going down. Like, and if you do that sometimes, great. That's much better than throwing an interception. But to do it, almost every time there's pressure on him, it's just so weird. Yeah. And kind of makes you that was part of the problem toward the end there because Texas figured it out. They just started blitzing constantly, and that's really
overtime. That's all they did.
It's really what kind of unraveled the offense. And then I think it got in the offensive line's head because you had those 2 false start penalties back to back on the 4th down in overtime. It it got ugly fast. It went from a great offensive performance to, honestly, you're wondering what is going on with Levy's play calling. And then the execution on what is called is probably worse. Like, it went downhill so fast.
Yeah, and then, of course, Kyle Frary has another missed field goal. I know it was blocked, but that's another missed field goal. Guy that people were touting as the best kicker in the country. He ain't close to that. He is struggling again. But overall, I mean, the positives is the first half, really good offensive clinic, especially the second quarter. That's when they really opened it up.
Yeah.
An 11-play, 83-yard touchdown drive. They had a field goal. They had a 6-play, 60-yard touchdown drive right before halftime, where Shapen threw an absolute beautiful pass to Brennan Thompson for a touchdown. He beat Malik Muhammad off to the outside, and Shapen put it right on him. And the 83-yard drive was Kamario Taylor throwing the touchdown. So we talked about it last week on the crossover podcast. I talked about it with Brad about, Taylor comes in a lot in that Wildcat. When will we ever see him throw it? He throws it. It gets tipped, but it gets tipped to Traore and first for a touchdown. But yeah, there's a lot of good from the offense in this game, but unfortunately, people are only going to remember the fourth quarter. And, we'll get into the defense more, but the fourth quarter is a lot more about the defense than the offense, in my opinion. I know the offense, also didn't do well, but hey, they scored 7 in that quarter. They scored 38 against a really good Texas defense. That should win the game.
Yeah, it should have been. And Booth had a great game. I mean, you mentioned the one long touchdown pass, but another 99 yards rushing, got in the end zone on that one pass. I mean, he had a very good game. Honestly, I think it's because there was so much, they're just feeding Fluff so much. I forget just how good he is in the open field because we didn't get to see it too much through the first, 5-6 weeks of this season. And now anytime he gets through that line, you're like, this could be a big one because he is so shifty. But yeah, he looked great. The offensive line held up good early. It was just a full, there's no other order. It was a collapse. Like this entire team just collapsed.
Yeah, and it was just like, here we go again. That's what it felt like watching the fourth quarter. Like, here we go again. The Texas hasn't looked good offensively at all season long, and then they put up 24 in the fourth, and you're rolling offensively, and you just struggle down the stretch. And then we go to overtime, and it felt like the Tennessee game all over again. Texas has all the momentum. They score really quick, and then Mississippi State goes nowhere. And isn't able to do anything. But you got to give Arch Manning credit because the one thing I'll say about Arch is, he gets a lot of criticism, but when I've watched him play, for whatever reason, the fourth quarter, he plays well usually, and he played really well in that one. And like I said, we'll get into the defense more, but yeah, I'm glad you brought up Booth because again, it was another really good game. And I said, you got to get him more involved in the passing game. And I know he had a couple drops early in the game, but 3 catches, 85 yards, obviously had the 62-yard touchdown, which was a really great shovel pass by Blake Shapen. And
that's the one good decision he made under pressure.
Right. And then Booth looked like he was going to be down because they had the angle on him, and he just turned on the jets to outrun everyone. And that's why you can see the playmaker he can become. And it sucked not having Fluff out there, but we kind of expected that was going to be the case. With him being game time decision, I expect him to play this next game. And then if you can get Booth out there as well and start utilizing both of them together on the field at the same time, or even, just alternate them a little more than they were before Fluff's injury. We talked about that room before the season. I still believe it's one of the best in college football.
Yeah, it definitely is. We've talked about, you see what they have done when it's been like the Fluff show, now it's the Booth show. If they can get it going at the same time, this could be a whole new element having the two of them out there together. But and it kind of makes you wonder, going to Fluff's injury, if he is out there, does Levy lean more into the running up the middle toward the end of the game to drain some clock? Because maybe he doesn't, for whatever reason, trust Booth to just be that kind of battering ram at the end of a game, which obviously that's not his style, but he can get 4 or 5 yards anytime it's blocked. It's not like he's just some tiny little receiving back that you have to always get out in space. So I don't know. The play calling down the stretch was questionable. The offensive gameplay. I mean, just what they did in that fourth quarter was it was unbelievably bad.
Yeah, I'm looking at the drive chart, the fourth quarter after they scored the long touchdown. Booth rushes for 1 yard, then Shapen sacked. Then Booth rushes for 4 yards. Shapen completes a pass for 5 yards, and Camario Taylor is stuffed for no yards. Punt. And that was the 79-yard punt return. Why you're kicking to a guy that has returned a punt for a touchdown and now 3 straight games is beyond me, but hey, that's the coach's decision. Then they start out with a 4-yard Booth run. Then it's pass, Blake Shapen run, Blake Shapen sacked, delay of game, and then punt, which the delay of game was punted. But yeah, he ran it, 3 times, and it was always the first play of each drive, and then they didn't run it again. So kind of baffling. But we got to get into the defense. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, college football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time just the other day, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. That made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I've said that many times. That's my favorite part about Game Time. I want to know where I'm going to sit and what my view will be like, and it's incredible. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, Landon, what did you think of the defense?
Kind of like the offense. The first half was very, very good. And they brought pressure in some unique ways in this one. Got a lot of blitzes, and they got to Arch a lot. Mm-hmm. Was it 5 sacks? Yeah, 5 sacks. And there was a lot of hurries, a lot of pressures on him that he had to kind of run for his life on. So, I liked seeing that they were like, we're bringing pressure this time, and had it coming from different places. It wasn't just like 4-man rushes, and if it gets there, it gets there. They were going to get there.
Yeah. I did not recognize this defense. That's the best way to say it. The first 3 quarters, definitely. You allow 14 points. They played great football. But I didn't recognize them in a positive way and in a negative way. So the negative way is the fourth quarter and overtime. I mean, Texas scored on essentially their last 4 plays of the game, drives of the game. The only drive they technically didn't score on was the one they kneeled to end the quarter to send it to overtime. Yeah. But it was a 5-play, 80-yard drive on the first touchdown drive, and that was because Ryan Wingo started killing them in the fourth quarter with big plays down the field, and so it was a 62-yard pass from Manning to Ryan Wingo, and that catapulted that drive. Then they have a 9-play, 75-yard touchdown drive, which that was kind of more of a mixed in some big runs. Obviously, you had the 15-yard penalty on 4th and 1 that would have been incomplete and a turnover on downs, but you get the roughing the passer. Mm-hmm. Again, don't know if it was a great call, but hey, that stuff happens from time to time. Then you allow a 10-yard pass to Wisner, then you allow a 15-yard pass to Wingo, then a 21-yard touchdown pass to Mosley. It was just the big plays that really have not been a thing that's happened to Mississippi State all season long. So that's the negative. Yeah. The positive that I didn't recognize from them is the tackles for loss was 12 and the sacks were 5. Like, that has not been this team at all. And that's what we talked going into the game, why I thought Texas would win and win pretty convincingly, was because Mississippi State hadn't shown all season that they could get pressure on the quarterback and get tackles for loss against whoever they played. Yeah. And I didn't think that Texas would be the team they would do it against, but it absolutely was the team they did it against.
Yeah, they turned it on, and it looked – yeah, you're right. It didn't look like the same defense. And there was Darian Gillette had a great game. He was all over the place. Him and Nick Mitchell, and Malik Silla, the linebackers. Honestly, that was something we were like, hey, this linebacker crew, there's some questions. They need to step up a little bit. What they looked like yesterday, that's the different group of linebackers. Like, they were not the same ones we have seen playing. We had seen each one of them kind of have those flashes. Like, one game Malik Silla looked really good. One game Gillette looked really good. All three of them played very well. Yeah. And for them to be able to run free like that, the defensive line was doing their job. They didn't have like all the flashy numbers, make all the big plays, but they did their job to allow those guys to run free like that.
Yeah, I thought Nick Mitchell had a really good game that you mentioned. Also, Jahron Bledsoe on the defensive line had a really good game. Jahron Manning was incredible again. 14 total tackles, eight solo, 2 tackles for loss. They just lived in the backfield. And then, of course, the fourth quarter, you allow 14 points all game. And then in the fourth quarter, you allow 24. And if you add overtime, you allow 31. Mm-hmm. And again, that's just not been the case for this defense all season long. Now, with that being said, 2 things about that. The first thing is, Landon and I have talked about this is a much improved defense. It still isn't a great defense. So this is a defense that can be had. And as we saw, they were had. The other thing I will say is, again, I don't understand it from Texas's point. Sarkisian, again, went at this game early and said, we do what we do, and we're just better than everyone. And they have routinely showed this year that does not work with their offense. No. They don't have good enough offensive line. They don't have good enough playmakers, and they just aren't good enough to do that. When they finally decided, okay, we're going to change some of the stuff that we do, boom, they exploded. And a big part of that was Arch Manning. Again, he was incredible, especially in that fourth quarter. And he finished 29 of 46, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was great in the game. Yeah. But it went back to how much was their lack of success because of Sark and what he was trying to do, because he's tried to do it in every game except for one, and that was the Oklahoma game. And they were great in that game. And then now he's going back to it.
Yeah, it was in that fourth quarter when they did the quick little, I don't even remember if it was technically a screen or just the little flare out to Wingo that he took up the sideline for 60 some odd yards. As soon as that happened, I was like, Sark remembered his offense. He remembered what worked. And they have guys who can be very explosive. It's just, for some reason, he chooses the hard way to get them the ball this year. The defense, and some of that collapse down the stretch from the defense, obviously, they got taken advantage of by Texas. 7 of those points were a punt return touchdown too. But again, coming back to the offense on this, how much of it is they were on the field pretty much the entire fourth quarter.
That too. Yeah.
Again, is this defense just wearing out? Because by the time you get to the fourth quarter, they're still running these 1-minute drives and the defense is right back out there and they just can't sustain it any longer. And so it's not complimentary football.
No, it's not at all. And that's been the one knock on Levy, even back when he was an offensive coordinator. So we'll see if he can figure that out. And so far, it's not looking like it. But all right, coming up next, we will give our top dog of the week. Don't go anywhere.
Is to get in on the action, then FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, who is your top dog of the week?
I'm going with Booth. 24 carries for 99 yards rushing, a little over 4 yards a carry, and 3 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. When you have 184 yards of offense, just you, it's a good day.
Yeah, no, it's a very good day. I went with Jahron Manning. He was my midseason defensive MVP, and he's done nothing but solidify that. And it's crazy because it's a defense with Isaac Smith on it and Kelly Jones on it, who also had a pretty good day. Had a couple penalties, kind of gets grabby every now and then, but had two big pass deflections. But yeah, Manning had 14 tackles, 8 solo, 2 tackles for loss. Just felt like he was all over the field once again. That was, when that addition happened, people see, the school he comes from, Old Dominion. Yeah. How good is he actually? And you see people do this all the time, whatever school they go to. And man, he is a really good player. Like he's a really, really good football player. And I just was so impressed watching him on Saturday. There's not much I was impressed about on Saturday. He was one of them because it felt like every single time he was around the football, and that shows with his numbers.
Yeah, he was everywhere. He played very, very good. Yeah, going into the fourth quarter, I was like, man, Shapen's going to have to be the top dog, and then the fourth quarter happened. So I wonder if we're going to get a fun Instagram post out of this one because I'm sure he's going to be hearing it a little bit more. But yeah, Isaac Smith is looking more like himself because like we talked about that first game back, he looked a little lost, but he's starting to be him again. And these linebackers keep playing like they are, combined with Manning, who has just found a new level that is beyond anything I thought he had in him. This defense has the building blocks to be a very good unit down the stretch.
Yeah. No, they've been really good this year. And so I don't want people to see this performance and be like, oh, it's just like last year. Like, no, it's not. It's a much improved unit. And hey, the thing is, in college football these days, defenses will get had regardless how good you are. A great example is Saturday. The number 1 ranked defense going into Saturday was the Oklahoma Sooners. They got torched for 34 points and over 400 yards for Ole Miss. Very good Ole Miss offense. But that's a perfect example. They came into that game, the number 1 defense, and got torched. It happens. It just happens in college football these days. Offenses are too good. It's also college athletes, and college kids are going to make mistakes and things like that. And offense coordinators are too good as well. Yeah. Also, if we want to be honest, the rules benefit the offense more than the defense. Yeah. So it's just there's so many things working against the defense. These things just happen. It's just going to happen. But yeah, I mean that shouldn't take away from the game that Jahron Manning has had because he's been incredible all season long. And that's double-digit tackles for him in 2 of the last 3 games. The only one that wasn't was the Florida game, and he had 6 tackles. So it was still a really good game for him in that one.
Yeah, he's looking really good. And you're right. When someone comes up from Old Dominion, it's like this is either going to be great or he might not see the field. That seems like to be the only type of players that when they make a big jump, no one's ever like, oh, yeah, they turned into a role player. It's like, how did he go to that school or why did we offer him?
Right. So he was obviously a big addition to the team, and that's why he's a big part why the secondary's been so good until that fourth quarter, obviously. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday. We also will post our pre- and post-game videos every Saturday like we just did this past Saturday. Hopefully this upcoming Saturday, this next game is actually a lot better than what just took place. Which this was the game. I will say, Landon, this game coming up, that's the one that you picked. Yeah, the one that would get them to 5 wins because that's Arkansas.
Yeah, so hopefully we're a little bit happier next Monday.
Yeah, and I didn't see. Yeah, okay, they did finally announce the game time, 3:00 Central Time on SEC Network at Arkansas. They're coming off almost a blowout loss to Auburn. They probably would have rather Jackson Arnold stay in that game because they were winning by a good margin when he was in. But all right, until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.